Have you ever wondered how Paul was able to demonstrate such resilience and encouragement even while in prison? For one thing, of course, Paul had the Holy Spirit with him. But Paul intentionally did something else, which directly contributed to his resilient spirit. Now, Paul wrote Philippians around 60 or 62 AD. But he clearly demonstrated a decision to think in a certain way. And today, so much later, we know that what Paul did works, and that there is even neuroscience that proves it works. In the 1980s, a field of psychology began studying resiliency in people. For people in the world who don't have significant mental health struggles, who don't have issues with depression or anxiety, what do those people do that contribute to their uplifted state? In Philippians 1, Paul is writing from prison. And in his writings, he remains positive and upbeat, and he talks about the good things that have happened in prison. And he mentions what he's been able to accomplish in prison. Let me say that again. In his writings, this is in Philippians 1, the first chapter, he's writing from prison. And 1, he talks about some of the good things that have happened while he was right there in prison. And 2, he talks about some of the things that he's been able to accomplish even while in prison. Now, it's been some months, and I need to finish up the emotion series with a talk about depression and anxiety within the framework of our theology of emotions. So what we had talked about prior was using our emotions as indicators. We view it as something that has happened, that has occurred, that it is a signal. And we are going to respond to what actions that we're going to take in response to that signal. Okay, it sounds easy, right? But how? In the moment, it can be hard. However, by using very simple strategies, we can practice responses that are within God's direction for us. And then eventually these responses can become positive habits. A little statistics, and these are actually from 2023. At least 3 in 10 adults in the U.S. have an actual diagnosis of depression. 18%, so roughly 2 out of 10 adults are currently being treated or are actually on medication for depression, and nearly 1 in 10 adults have had a major depressive episode recently within the past year. Again, this is from 2023. So if you are not affected, then someone close to you is. Now, for our youth and adolescents, it's even more of a concern. A survey taken back in 2019 indicated at that time that 40% of youth experienced persistent depressive feelings or feelings of sadness. And anxiety is even higher than that. So these strategies can be used daily, but most importantly, when a person begins to feel that early slide into depression, if you have experienced it, you know what I'm speaking of. It feels like that heaviness, and it just starts to creep in on you, and you just know you're starting to feel a little different. You know that a depressive episode is right at the door. You can feel it just starting to seep in. That feeling is your indicator to definitely start using this strategy that I am about to share. Secondly, even though all of my professional training was done in a state university, I always ensure that what I teach or recommend is in line with theology and with biblical teachings. As in order for us to use our emotions for good, we have to be aware of those emotions, which means we have to take time, at least a couple of times a week, to think about our own thinking and our own state of being. What have I been feeling this week? What have I been thinking? When you do that kind of check-in with yourself, you start to notice, oh yeah, I'm starting to drag. I'm starting to not be feeling it. I'm starting to not want to get up and go to work. I'm starting to not want to go out and even do fun things. I stress ate a whole box of cheese crackers or chocolate chip cookies last night. What's going on with me? Those are the types of behaviors and thoughts and signals that you look for. And then when they start creeping in, you immediately activate this strategy, very simple strategy that I'm going to explain. I've been sharing this with everyone that I meet at work, with the parents, with my students. It's so simple and it's so effective, and it has research and neuroscience backing it up. Here's what you do. Ready? When you feel that you are starting to slip into the blahs of depression, then begin this process each day. Near the end of the day, near the late afternoon, the evening, make yourself identify and name aloud at least 2 good things about that day. And specifically, like Paul, you're going to name aloud something good that happened that day. No matter how small, no matter how tiny of an incident it was, you're going to name something good that happened that day. And then the next thing you do is you're going to name something that you accomplished that day. Again, no matter how insignificant it seems, no matter how small. Okay, so first, Paul modeled this, and now the research shows us this is so effective. If you're interested in the evidence behind this, it comes down to a neuroscience finding. When we cause ourselves to think and reflect on our day intentionally, we say it aloud, and we do it in that such a manner, looking at those 2 things, when we choose to think on something good about the day, and when we choose to think of something that we accomplished in the day, we literally give our brains a shot of dopamine when we have those types of reflective thoughts. So try it. Anytime you're feeling a bit down, you'll realize you feel a little bit better after doing this. And again, even if it's a small thing, the dopamine still hits and it works. So it is a quick, easy, effective, research-based, potentially life-changing strategy that anyone can do anywhere. I'm closing out for today because I try to keep these under 15 minutes. My next post is going to be another strategy, very similar. It's coming out of the research, so simple to do. It's not cognitive behavioral therapy. It's actually easier than cognitive behavioral therapy. And I will be sharing that next, along with people like David, who definitely modeled it for us. Now, finally, if you're finding these very simple strategies and tips to be helpful, I think you'll also like a book that I wrote that has very simple, doable strategies to help you with your walk and staying closer to God. It's called Closer to God, Simple Methods Starting Today. It's on the website. It's on Amazon. Both the paperback and the Kindle. The Kindle can be read for free if you subscribe to Kindle Unlimited. You can also find the links to the books at sherryelaine.com or at gospellifelearning.com. We'll see you in a few. Bye-bye.